Folks, this is Kenny with Just the Right Angle, starting the broadcast here live from Arkansas with a bunch of news updates. It has been a pretty busy week for me. Monday, I was able to film the paper ballots, the inquisition regarding canvassers for paper ballots. And filming for a justice lady running for justice of the peace. Big news that's going on today. The big news that came out regarding Arkansas is that there is a massive amount of lithium that's been found in the southern area of the state. They call it the Smackover area, but it's the very south end of Arkansas and parts of a few other states, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Lithium is, of course, the big thing now, especially with the electronic vehicles, the ones that crash and burn, are very expensive and can be shut down by either the government or by hackers. And so the demand for lithium has been pretty high. It's also in a lot of our devices. It's in our phones right here, your laptop. You're watching this with something that has most likely has a lithium battery in it. And so, as you know, this is the future mineral. It should be a boom for the people of Arkansas if Arkansas can get the right type of government. If we get the right type of people who care about who believe in capitalism and the Judeo-Christian constitutional republic on which this nation was founded, it can be a big bonus. If, on the other hand, we get what we have now, which is backroom deals used to make legislation, where the Arkansas Association of Counties and the Municipal League and the Chamber of Commerce and other very nefarious groups meet behind closed doors, order their folks in the Republican Party to write up legislation, and then all of us, we the people, are supposed to accept it, which has been done in the past, then we can end up with all kinds of failures. But anyway, this is credit to Newsmax. They're overall a conservative group. There are some things I disagree with them on. You can find this story in other news sources, but I decided to give them props because they're much more conservative on a national level. And of course, they talk about how, again, this is going to electric vehicles. I do not want to get in electric vehicles. As a matter of fact, I wish they made vehicles that did not have things like GPS in the car and internet access in the car to where someone can hack into the vehicle. There's all kinds of TV shows and genres where that happens. Ghost in the Shell, iRobot, the evil robot hacks into the guy's car, almost kills him. It's just not worth it, okay? Get you a car that doesn't have that. I tried to get a vehicle that has a minimal amount of bells and whistles regarding that. In addition to expense, it's the fact that people who hate you can track you. And that's the scary thing about electric vehicles. But, you know, lithium, like I said, is going to be a great thing, bring lots of jobs if done correctly. And speaking of choosing people, the founders of this nation gave us the ability to choose our officials. There is, of course, an election for president and lots of other places. Every Arkansan can cast their ballot for state treasurer, chief justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court. As I mentioned before, the Republican Party is backing Rhonda Wood, who I believe will show up on the ballot. I have a printed out paper, a sample ballot here. And where is she? Yeah, she has Justice Rhonda Wood for state Supreme Court Justice position 1. And a lot of people have recognized her as being the far more conservative for that choice. You get to vote for your U.S. representative. I don't believe any U.S. senators are up for election this time around. Within the Arkansas Senate, some of them are up for, depending on your area, some of them are not. Every House official every person elected to the Arkansas House of Representatives is up for election. Whether or not they have an opponent is a whole nother matter. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends on who bothered to file. Conduit News has an excellent article on where to find things like your what district you're in. You have voter view, where you can locate your elected officials. You can print off a sample ballot. I urge people, probably a good idea to do that, especially with the issues, which I'll get to in a little bit. There are actually 3 issues that are on the ballot. Only 2 of them actually will count as of rulings under the Arkansas Supreme Court. But, you know, you can print off a 2-page, usually the sample ballot should be only 2 pages. And it'll have the entire issue of issue 3, which takes up, I think, one of the pages is just for issue 3. Let me look at this. Yeah, part of issue 2, and then the rest is issue 3. That's like the second page. So generally speaking, for most of your elections, and depending on how many other constables and justices of the peace may be in your area, you'll probably only have federal, U.S. Congress, state treasurer, state representative, your state representative if they're being challenged, constable or sheriff, and then maybe a municipal position. You'll oftentimes have unopposed candidates, and you can vote for or against them, doesn't matter. And then you'll have non-contested, and then you'll have the issues. But do prepare to vote. Have an idea of planning on that. Again, in addition, getting a sample ballot, research the candidates as best you can. Don't go by what flowery speeches or plans. Go by what they've done. Go by what, you know, this is, you're basically in a hiring process. And you can't even go to a fast food joint and say, I'm the most popular person. They pick people based upon what kind of work you've done. You know, I have a record of fighting against taxes, even though I've never run for office. I've campaigned against multiple taxes. Speaking of which, if you're in the city of Little Rock, vote against the tax increase. They are wasting millions of dollars on pet projects instead of actually fixing, spending it, prioritizing on police and fire. It's all, you know, public-private partnerships. $12 million, I think, is going to a solar panel factory in the port area. So many $1 million are going to the zoo. Millions of more dollars are going to tourist pet projects. And even some of the money that they claim goes to infrastructure, oftentimes they get wasted on things like charging stations or bike paths. And you don't see it until it's buried deep in the language there. So do be careful. Generally speaking, I have yet to see, I know there's another tax increase that's going on, and I believe Jonesboro, and I believe there's one in Saline County. If you know of these tax increases, let me know about them. Fort Smith, I think, is doing one as well. Generally speaking, they used to be done on special elections. What these city and county governments used to do, because they don't want to actually govern, is put these on scheduled dates when they know most people won't show up and hope that they could sneak it through. Unfortunately, we banned that effort. We banned that act after several attempts in a Republican supermajority legislature. So but it's still going to be on the regular ballot. And Little Rock is a blue city within a blue county. So make sure people get out and vote, especially in the citywide elections, to vote down these tax increases. These government officials do not need more money. They need to govern. They need to budget like we the people. And on that line, a similar issue that I've talked a little bit about before is the wind farm issue. I mentioned the solar panel. They're wasting $12 million in a solar panel area in Little Rock. Years ago, there was a company called LM Wind Power where we, the people in Arkansas, had to spend $150 million to shell out for a wind turbine factory that was supposed to produce so many hundreds of jobs and, you know, of course, save the earth from the evil of carbon, even though carbon's 0.4% of the earth's atmosphere, and man's contribution to that carbon's only a small fraction of that. But the other scam green industry is the one called wind farms. And there is some kind of sneaky effort to put wind farms in Boone County, which is north area. It's Harrison. These people have already had the fight against the, oh my goodness, now I can't remember the name of it. It was Bitcoin mining that was done by the Chinese government. And the folks in Harrison had to fight in that effort. If you follow me around, you know I've been involved in that war. But now there's some kind of sneaky backroom deal to put in some wind farms. And wind farms are an absolute scam. They have been. There's a guy here that's been contacting all their justices of the peace, they call JPs, regarding on these potential windmills. No response, and this guy's trying to get. And so this guy he's heard from Mark Methvin, one of Boone County's JPs. He is opposed to the windmills. So again, these local elections, find out who your justice of the peace is. And here's some stories about windmills. I think here's a video actually about this windmill. So you know these things, they catch on fire. They take massive amounts of money and carbon to make. And then they take massive amounts of resources just to maintain. And so here I'm going to play this video. I'm going to try to see if this plays. If it doesn't play, sorry, folks. So some of these things, they have to be oiled in order to maintain. And okay, maybe this one will be the one that actually plays. If not, that tricked me. It has a play button, but it does not play. I know they had a video on these. Oh, here's one. Here's actually a better one anyway. This is a lady who's organizing the efforts. Concerned citizens of the Ozarks, stop wind farms in Boone County. If you're in this area, you need to join this group to get updates on what's going on regarding town halls on this issue. And even if you're not, you still need to join this group, help them out. These, again, your local folks. They're not being bankrolled by out-of-state or globalist groups that are just citizens on their own fighting for your freedoms. And remember, if they succeed there, sooner or later, it's something like this is going to be in your backyard. So let me hear this lady here. I believe it's.
Hello, this is Caroline Rogers. I'm in Madison, in front of the courthouse, and I'm going to be speaking tonight to their report about the wind turbines in Carroll County, how that can be affecting Boone County in the near future. Boone and Baxter, Madison County, all these counties are involved. Did you know that these wind turbines can weigh up to 575 tons for one wind turbine? Folks, this information has got to go out there. We've got to understand what we're dealing with. We need to understand all about the taxes and who is paid, how all of this works. Stay tuned for more information.
Okay, so they definitely do need better audio there. I'll try to attend one of these events and film this, but yeah, concerned citizens of the Ozarks, and I can't read this Rogers for Justice of the Peace. Yeah, these are these people that are fighting for your rights. Oh, and they have a billboard apparently, or maybe this is from. I don't know if this is from here or that area or not. And there's this base that has to be set to have these wind farms, this massive amount of concrete. And then when it's done, it's stuck there. So that fight's been going on. And as I mentioned before, I was involved in the effort to gather signatures to put on the ballot for several counties, paper ballots, which are a lot more reliable and far harder to commit fraud with than the electronic voting machines. Now, the Arkansas legislature apparently has some members that are vehemently opposed to paper ballots, and they had a faux pas hearing in their joint performance review committee trying to split hairs and find out regarding the possibility that some out-of-state canvassers may have had some addresses changed, which they themselves have yet to admit is even wrong. Now, the hearing, you can see the live stream on the Rumble channel, Just the Right Angle. But afterwards, they had public comment. And this guy from Batesville, Brian Norris, did an excellent job of basically summarizing what really happened here. There is a partial version of this speech on Twitter X, but I've just posted this guy's video. And like I said, I just uploaded this video not too long ago that I took of Brian Norris talking to the Arkansas legislature. What's known as the Joint Performance Review. I think on here has the link. Okay, well, this was the last hearing regarding paper ballots that I filmed in live stream, and then this was the live stream. If you want to see the whole thing, it's about 3.5 hours long, but there's the link for that. But here I'm going to play Brian Norris from Batesville, Independence County, when he talks about a whole host of issues. Let me just play this here.
Norris, I'm not here representing the group, but I was the lead for the Independence County Paper Ballot Initiative, so in some format you can say that I represent that group. Who am I? I'm a retired United States Army First Sergeant. I spent the last 21 years teaching America's finest how to hunt down their fellow man and to execute justice upon them. And I was very good at this job and this trait. And a testimony to that is 5 combat deployments. I never lost one soldier that was underneath me. And the reason why that was because I paid extreme attention to detail. I pride myself in discipline. I immerse myself into whatever it is I'm doing, and I cross every T and I dot every I, because lives did depend on it. My nation was at war for 20 years, the entire time I was on service. And I paid extreme attention as if lives were going to be at risk, which they were, to what I was doing, because implications were lives lost. During this process, after I retired, I had an idea of what I thought that our country was. And I fought for that idea. I bled for that idea. I spent 6 months in Walter Reed for that idea. And I'd do it all over again. But that idea has been crushed. It has been smashed. All I wanted to do was give the will of the people in Independence County a voice in how their votes were going to be counted and tabulated. That's it. Just to put it on the ballot and say, hey, you want it or you don't. Pretty simple. I have been met with roadblock after roadblock and after roadblock. But because of my attention to detail, everything that they put in front of us, we knocked down. That's why we're the only county out of the 9 that are going to have it on the ballot this November. Because we set a record for the number of signatures that we captured in Independence County. There were a few paid canvassers that came to our area and amounted for about 130 to 170 votes, something like that, but they never came to me. I never saw them. I never did anything with them. We didn't need them. And that's why we're on the ballot this November. And to be sued by my county clerk and have it go all the way to the Supreme Court to simply have something put before the people to say, would you like this or not? We didn't have a choice on machines. They showed up one day. You didn't give us an option. So we said we're going to an option. Well, some of the things that happened in this day, on August, after I submitted our petition, I then the very next day FOIA'd my county clerk because immediately they said it was an insufficient title. That FOIA produced some pretty amazing information. We submitted our petition on August 7th. Through that FOIA, on August 5th, we found emails from Daniel Haney, who is the county attorney, to Tracy Mitchell. This email mentions, it appears as though many of the initiative petitions have signatures from canvassers who were non-residents of Arkansas. These signature sheets were immediately thrown out. He further states, I anticipate that you will encounter a similar experience. When you do, this is the letter draft from AAC, Arkansas Association of Counties, has provided me to state that the initiative petition is insufficient due to the lack of signatures. That's a 501c3 organization getting directly involved in the will of the people. I got a problem with that, and I hope you do too. They go on further. Emails from Rochelle Evans to Tracy Mitchell, July 30th of 2024. Even before, way before, because I FOIA'd back 40 days. In this email chain, Rochelle Evans especially agrees with the summary provided by Daniel Haney, saying, I 110% agree with you. In your summary, at the end she adds, the things this petition requests would be very expensive, and it's the quorum's court job to determine the best use of the county's resources. That shows the county clerks, this shows that the county clerks were coordinated across all counties on what they were going to do, instead of taking it case by case, county by county, as they're supposed to. Right? And this was likely under the AEC's guidance as well. And further clarification from Rochelle Evans, the title doesn't clearly inform a non-disabled voter will have a choice between machines and paper ballots. It's allowable to point out the disabled person by being the only reason why you can't vote with a machine. Now, here's some of the AAC's direct involvement. On that August 5th email, Haney forwards another email to Rochelle Evans stating the AAC would like to save the ballot title for the next election cycle because every county has had sufficient signatures. This suggests that the AAC had a game plan of how they were going to game this out and stonewall us to 2024, 2026, and then even further.
So again, the Arkansas Association of Counties, enemies of freedom that I've mentioned before, are deliberately sabotaging the effort to even vote on having paper ballots. That's how corrupt things are. And by the way, let me remind you, this is a Republican supermajority. Paper ballots are on our platform. Paper ballots are what an overwhelming majority of people want. Paper ballots, an overwhelming majority of Republicans, and it's certainly an overwhelming majority of Republicans in the Republicans convention want paper ballots. But just like the way that Joseph Wood, under the orders of other people, has trying to nullify the state convention in regards to closed primaries, and with legislatures getting an automatic vote in the December winter committee meeting where we choose the Republican Party chair and other rules, they're ignoring the platform and the will of the people in regards to paper ballots. And it's done behind closed doors. And that's why this Brian Norris guy does an excellent job here in speaking about this issue and what is actually going on. Let me play a little more of his speech here.
Purposefully standing in the way of what the people want, just to have their voices heard. You're going to investigate them? You're going to refer charges for them? I hope so. I'll come down here and gladly share testimony. This level of coordination from the clerks and the AAC suggests that decisions about sufficiency in election-related matters are not being made independently. It's a coordinated effort to keep our initiatives off. That's petition interference, right? You're all upset about some out-of-state petitioners coming in and collecting signatures, but not one time today did I hear anybody say anything about what did the people want when they signed it. They don't care who the person standing in front of them was. You might, but they don't. They see every day on the news that the machines are messing up. Memphis recently, Georgia again, Arizona again. It's interfaced constantly. Arkansas has one of the lowest voter turnouts in the nation. And when I was walking around, I did something that was audacious. I asked them, why don't you vote? Because my vote doesn't matter. I feel my vote doesn't matter. As someone that placed their life on the line for their ability to vote, and to hear them say that to me was crushing. What have I done? What have my friends sacrificed for? I missed the births of my children, anniversaries, birthdays, holidays. I've spent months in areas that you cannot imagine and don't want to. Ever. For this. To come home and hear my fellow countrymen say, I'm not going to vote. Doesn't matter. Doesn't count.
So yeah, he's obviously very upset about the way things are going in regards to elections, and he has a point. A lot of people, the voter turnout overall is very low. Number of people even registered is low. Now, voter turnout will be maybe high in this election, but overall, when you consider in Iraq, the people that were eligible to vote was like 70% after the ending of Saddam Hussein, and before our Pentagon deliberately lost that war by letting Iran and Syria put in IEDs to wound our troops and create another quagmire. There were people that risked dying going to the polls. Oddly enough, I believe they used paper ballots, and they had the purple ink. They had the purple fingers, and they did that. I'm willing to go back to that system. I say we go hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots and fingerprinting. If it's good enough in a war zone Iraq for elections there, then it's good enough for the United States of America. But folks, if you want to see more about paper ballots, the link to go to, and I believe I have it here, is this one right in this group right here, Arkansas Voter Integrity Initiative. They're the group that's been fighting for this effort in Arkansas. They have lots of videos on the paper ballots and on the machines, how the details of how the method works, how it's been done in other places. We already have one county, Searcy County, that does this. They chose to do so via their justices of the peace. The Arkansas Secretary of State has tried to harass them regarding random audits, tried to claim that there were mistakes made. But yet, when you ask what specific, what election and how many votes were lost or added in that election, they can't give you a definite answer. There's some polling there. I don't like political polling at all, or surveys. But if you want to see that, if you're interested in that, there's information regarding that. And if speaking of local elections, when you choose people for local election, sometimes it's difficult. Part of the reason is it's supposedly nonpartisan. Officially, they're not allowed to state whether they're Democrat or Republican. And, I don't even think on my ballot, I don't think I even have a justice of the peace on here. No, I don't. Same thing with the judicial races. From what I understand, for instance, Court of Appeals, Associate District 1, it just says Judge J.C. Tucker and then Molly McNulty. I'm from basic, when I've heard it leans toward Judge J.C. Tucker, only because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Sarah Huckabee Sanders can appoint someone else in their place. And then there's another judicial race, Brent Eubanks and Robert Cortinez. That one I'd have to do a little more research on and to see which one's the better judge there. But one person I know who has done a lot of work in terms of fighting for conservative values, this is a justice of the peace. She's not in my area. She's running for justice of the peace in Pulaski County District 4. She had an event at US Pizza, and I'll play a little bit of her event here. Once I make sure I'm sharing the right tab. Okay.
Right. My name is Jackie Kaufman, and I'm running for Justice of Peace, District 4 in Pulaski County. I especially want to thank all the volunteers that have helped me in this campaign. Most importantly, my family, who's always there to support me in my quest to do good in this world. I'm excited to be running for this position because I want to be involved in making sure that Little Rock is that great place that we call home. So first, I'd like to introduce myself before I get into what I'd like to do when elected Justice of Peace in Pulaski County. I was born and raised in Little Rock. I'm a resident in the Leawood neighborhood. I've been there for over 20 years. I went to Mount St. Mary Academy here in Little Rock, got my accounting degree at University of Arkansas Little Rock, and then went on to St. Louis and got my master's of business administration there. The past 19 years, I've been chief financial officer at Christ the King Church and School. Our church supports various local food pantries and day resource centers. And so I had an opportunity to work with a homeless day resource center. And from there, I learned a lot about the city's homeless problems and the challenges. I raised my daughter here, and she's now a special education teacher. She is the reason why I'm running. I want her to live out her hopes and dreams here in a city that is safe, a city that can attract and retain good-paying jobs for citizens, and a city that has great neighborhoods where we can raise our families. So a question that I'm often asked is, well, what is a justice of peace? What are those responsibilities? A justice of peace is part of a 15-member body called the Quorum Court. This is a legislative body that oversees the Pulaski County budget of over $175 million. This is a county seat, and almost 50% of the general fund is allocated to services that serve the more rural parts of the county.
So anyway, $175 million. And oftentimes, as mentioned before, just like in that wind farm issue, these justices of the peace have a great effect on what happens to you. Masks, various other issues. So, find out who your justice of the peace is. Find out whether or not they're conservative, whether that they've made some effort to fight for conservative values. And if they are, help them, especially them, because usually on a state level, they're already bankrolled by a bunch of PACs and other organizations. But oftentimes these justices of the peace, they're kind of left in the wind. They're like, they don't quite have the help and the financial backing. And one other thing, I had mentioned some issues before. One is issue 1. Issue 1 is very simple. It to provide that lottery proceeds may be used to fund, provide scholarships and use to fund and grants to Arkansas citizens enrolled in vocational technical schools. So basically, the lottery money. I think the lottery is an overall scam. It creates more problems than it solves. But if we have that system there, we might as well use it for some what they call VOTEC, so people can become welders, mechanics, construction. So generally, yes, I'm for that one. The issue 2 was in regards to casinos. Now, I put up a video earlier that said the casinos, the fight regarding the casinos, one group is called Investing in Arkansas, and they claim to be they're opposed to issue 2, claiming that it's going to hurt Arkansans, and that their big issue is that the supporters of issue 2 are from out of state, mainly Oklahoma. It turns out that Investing Arkansas is also from Oklahoma. But here's an interview with someone, a local person, concerned citizen resident Larry Walker, explains why he's supporting ballot issue 2. Again, these are one of these local folks who have to go on their own and fight against the system. So I'll play a little bit of this. Go past the intro here.
Initiative regarding a gambling casino in
done by
Cook County.
Conduit
We've
News,
seen
for
this
those
in the
who don't know.
headlines for years. Here to talk to us about it today is a concerned citizen and resident of Polk County. He's been involved in this issue for years, and he's been on Conduit before. Larry Walker, hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having us again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you know, and as our viewers of Conduit will remember, this is an issue important to us, and it's one that we certainly want to continue to follow and cover. So thanks for joining us. This is a confusing ballot issue, I think, right now. The campaigns on both sides, if you will, they are very loud and they are persuasive. And the issue for some voters, it's confusing. But if you would, before we get into ballot issue number 2, talk to us about the casino there in Polk County and how this issue has really evolved from day one to what it looks like now.
Yeah, and thank you guys for having us on again. We've been on here a lot, and in the past, it's been a while, but thank you again. And we've talked about this issue over and over. The issue itself, the ballot title itself right now is being made complex by those who want it kicked out. They have a lot of money to gain from getting us gone. I'm a local resident, have been here, have fought this, haven't made a dime from any of this, have spent a whole lot of my own time and money and time away from my family fighting this, because for our community said no in 2018 to this issue, and it's still being forced upon us. We voted 61-39 against Amendment 100 because it was imposing a casino on our county. As a part of that, we tried to have a local option at that point. The people of Polk County voted 70-30 in favor of a local option. So even those that wanted a casino here thought we should have a vote and a voice in that matter. Cherokee Nation was one of the major voices behind, or dollars behind, Amendment 100, spent several $1 million at that time to get it there. So when they come out with Investing in Arkansas and say that out-of-state interests are trying to keep them out, the truth of the matter is the out-of-state interests brought it in the first place, with them being the ones who brought it. And they've spent, in the month of September alone, they spent $8 million to oppose our effort, where we spent $3 million. And our funding, it does come from Choctaw Nation. And at the end of the day, they don't want a casino in Polk County for some reasons. And I'm sure it's for their business interests. But at the end of the day, we have to have dollars to oppose those who are trying to come into our county. And so we're using those dollars. Some people may like it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, it's not about the money for us coming in. It's about keeping a casino out. And that's what we have used every dollar to do.
I have heard that argument. I think that there are a few arguments that I've heard, even from conservatives, that they're very interesting to me. And you briefly touched on it, and it would be that Choctaw is funding this. And then, of course, the other side can say, well, it's, outside interest. But you know it, we know it. This, whether it's ethical or right or wrong, this is how some things are done. And it's as if you have a dry county and the liquor store on the county line, funds money into a local church or something to keep that county dry. And so, I mean, like you said, you're using the funds for this initiative. Do you see a problem with that at all?
I don't. We sought for years to have individuals, and we raised from individuals quite a bit of money, but nothing that can compete with the 50 million worth that they bought in property here, the 8 million that they spent in September, tens of millions of dollars that Cherokee Nation has put in, and out of state interest, by the way, putting it in to force that into our county.
So, folks, you don't really need to be an economics expert or statistic to figure out that if you go to places like Tupelo, Mississippi, or I think it's Enid, Oklahoma, or other places where they have these big, massive casinos, they're not paradises. They're not in any way, shape, or form anything resembling a functioning town. It's just usually a seedy town with a bunch of all kinds of corruption, all kinds of problems. The casinos just don't help a community. They don't. They can say it brings in money and it brings in jobs and it funds these projects, but the corruption, the massive amounts of criminal activity that occurs from them, the people that lose everything, their savings, and end up having to be dependent on others. It's just the costs outweigh the benefits when it comes to casinos. And you don't need to be a statistic to see that. You don't need Christine Munoz or some out-of-state folks calling themselves investing in Arkansas to show you that. Just go to Tupelo, Mississippi, see video of it. You'll see a big seedy town with a bunch of rundown buildings and the streets falling apart. Pine Bluff, which has a casino, just pushed for a tax increase a few months ago in the primary elections. And they had to push for a tax increase before then. The casino is supposed to take care of all that. It doesn't. It just doesn't work. So anyway, folks, that's about it. Other than the problem with my webcam, I think everything else is okay. Y'all can hear me, and that's the important thing. This will be audio on Podbean in just a little bit. Looks like I need to do an update on my laptop, but that's all for today. Find a way to get involved. Other than that, you have a great day.